welcome back this week. It's a little delayed. Had a bout with some cold or whatever it was, but it was nasty, and I'm just now getting my voice back. That was the most of the delay. So let's jump in where we left off last time. We left off with our shelf construction. Now we need to prep this for veneer. What I mean by prepping it, we need to make sure that there's no glue going, glue drips. Make sure all your surfaces are nice and flush with each other. But basically what I did is I hit it with 80 grit sandpaper, clean it all up. So we're going to cut the veneer today and start applying it. What you're going to need for this to start off with, of course, you're going to need some veneer. This is just scrap that I had laying around, some nice walnut veneer. Going to need a foam brush, and then here is the secret ingredient, contact cement. You can get this big box stores, like 10 bucks for this can, I think it is. Works really well. I've used this on a table that is in my house right now. That table has been used by a family of 6 pretty regularly for 5 years. And there is not one issue with any veneer bubble. So what we'll need other than this, we're going to need a scraper, and that's basically once we put the veneer on, that's what we're going to use to apply the pressure and knock any air bubbles out. And basically I just made it out of a scrap piece of 3/4 inch piece of walnut plywood. Looks cool, but it's very simple to make. I'll show you guys how to make that. And you're going to need a 1/4 inch piece of ply, and this is going to be used to cut our veneer. One thing that there's different ways to cut this veneer. This is the way I do it. I feel comfortable doing it this way. I've never really had any issues doing it this way. They've got veneer saws. You can use box cutters, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel safe doing, feel comfortable doing. But like I said, I've been doing it this way for years. I don't feel any issue, personal safety involved in it, and just all you gotta do is use a little bit of common sense and everything will come out okay with that. So let's get started. We'll cut some veneer and we'll go from there. So we're going to get ready to cut this veneer, and what I'm going to do is I've already got my fence set up for my first cut. I made my shelf 8 inches, plus about a half an inch for the front here, so 8.5. I got about 8 5/8. I wouldn't necessarily, if this is your first time doing this, I wouldn't necessarily recommend cutting it so close, but you do what you feel is best for you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this saw on. I'm going to slowly lower this down onto the blade. And I've got a cleat right there that's going to keep it from kicking back and hitting me with my padding here. You'll notice that's where the blade's going to be at. Do not put your hands on top and try to force this thing down. The blade will cut it. Just give it a chance, let it do its thing. See, pretty simple, pretty easy. And the reason why I use this is so that when I'm running my veneer across here, it's not going to get snagged underneath my fence. And number 2 is the whole way in and out through this cut, this whole thing is supporting my sheet of veneer. And you'll find out if you try to do a big 8-foot sheet, it gets kind of dicey when you're trying to do it just on the saw, because once it gets past the table or even going into the table, it wants to buckle a little bit. Well, this will help keep it nice and straight. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make 2 cuts for the top and bottom of my shelf with my veneer, and then I'll set up again and make the cuts for my sides and my front. Okay, there's my top and bottoms. I'm going to set up again for the cuts on my side. Okay, so here we'll go again. We'll drop it down and I'll cut the veneer for the front and the 2 sides. Okay, there we go. All of our veneer is cut, top, bottom. There's one. It could either be the front or the 2 sides. The other one fell on the floor as I was cutting, so I'll get set up. We'll start going through how we're going to veneer this bad boy, and just to see how truly easy this whole veneering process can be. Just real quickly before we start veneering, I want to talk a little bit about this stuff here. It's good stuff, very, very good stuff. Like I said, I had it on a kitchen table. The kitchen table's been in my home used by a 6-person family. Actually, it ends up being more than that most weekends. Never had an issue. It holds up to the effects of water and most household cleaners. Really, that's why I really recommend this stuff. It takes 25 pounds per square inch for good adhesion, and that's the importance of this bad boy here. Now you can use a J roller, but this is the best thing that I've ever found. J rollers, it's hard to get a lot of pressure on them because, well, when you see the roller you'll understand. When we put this on the shelf, when we put the coats on, actually it goes, put a coat on the shelf, a coat on the veneer. Okay, so we're going to have the coats on here, and when it appears just a little tacky and it's got a glossy like varnish look to it, then it's ready to be applied. And I've been doing this for a while, so it's nothing for me to grab this piece of veneer and just slap it on there, and I'm going to be pretty much dead on without having an oops of it not sitting right or anything like that. So I'm sure I know there's a lot of content out there on how to use the sticks to do the veneering, dowel rods and such. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I'll have some links for you to follow on the website. So we'll set up and we'll get ready to do some veneering. Okay, I'm going to put this on the veneer first. Like I said, it's a nice even coat. If you have I would say if you go to Harbor Freight and for like $30, you get a little cheap HVLP gun that you don't want to use for anything other than spraying this. You can throw this in the canister and spray this on, and you'll get the exact same effect, which hopefully we'll see next week when we make our way up to Trimline in Chicago. Like I said, this stuff, whew, it smells big time. Now I normally would be having a respirator on doing this. Respirators don't really affect the fumes too much, because unfortunately my respirators are for dust. I don't have any of the fancy other filters on it, so fortunately it's a nice windy day for Northwest Indiana, and I got a pretty good breeze going through here. So okay, veneer's done. Sticking to my fingers. Now time for the shelf. Oops. Like I said, just nice and even. That's all we're shooting for. Okay, nice and even, and we're going to let this tack up for the half hour, whatever it's going to take. hopefully it won't even be a half an hour for this stuff to be ready to apply. So I'll see when it's ready to apply this stuff. Okay, it's been a lot of time and it's ready to go now. Because I kind of got a little bit of cockiness in me when I was first describing this to you, I'm going to attempt to put this on without the sticker boards and hopefully not make a fool out of myself. Okay, then we'll push from the middle out. Pretty good, pretty good. And we'll do the same thing with the scraper. You want to go from the middle out, and you'll notice that as I run this scraper across the surface of this veneer, the amount of pressure that I apply should make this look like it almost has a finish on it. So guess I misplaced that. Okay. Voila. Okay, so just like that. And it's not coming up. Well, I guess over here it is. It's making a liar out of me. There we go. So now what we'll do is we'll repeat the process on this side. And the reason why I do this, I like to do two sides at a time so that when I trim this up, the only thing I'm going to use is a router with a flush trim bit. I can just zip around the top, flip it over, zip around the bottom. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the veneer on the sides. And the reason why I say that, we'll do it on the sides next, because when you trim this up, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can actually see the backing when you trim this up. So essentially what we want to do is when we look at the front of the shelf, we want to see a nice clean veneered edge. We don't want to see the backing from this veneer when we're looking dead straight on to the front of the shelf. So I'll go ahead and get busy, finish this up, and we'll see what happens. See what it looks like. take another break and wait for that one to dry. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go put this top piece on. See if I can make it 2 for 2 without having an oops. Oops. Well, that was almost one. Okay. Scrape it down. Like I said, working from the center out. Okay. Basically, I'm just checking the corners because that's the hardest thing to get right there, because you go a little too much and then you break your veneer and then it doesn't look very good. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead, use a flush trim bit and a router, clean this up. Okay, there we go. Now all we really need is a sanding block to kind of touch this up a little bit, and we're good to go. So I'm going to continue on veneering this, and when I turn the camera back on, this will be all finished up, because all I'm going to do now is the exact same methods. Put my side pieces on, and then the front one. So when I have all that done, I'll turn this back on and we'll continue our journey. Okay, so last time that you guys saw this, it wasn't this pretty. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sand the entire thing down with 180. I start out light and I stay light with the sandpaper on this because it is veneer, it is easy to burn through. So we'll give it a quick sanding. And usually what I do is I wait about a day before I put any type of a finish on this, because I don't know, I feel more comfortable doing that and letting the solvents escape without having a finish to hold them in. Up for this week. I appreciate everybody tuning in to watch this. Just a few quick notes on this stuff here. You can spray this. Like I said, if you want to sacrifice about a $30 spray gun, I would recommend. And when it sprays out, it sprays like snot. It's a real funky spray pattern. It's pretty cool. What I do recommend is when you're done spraying is to pour the contents back into here and clean your gun with some good lacquer thinner. Real good. Spray it through the gun, clean the cup out. That way you can prolong the life of that gun a little bit. We made a pretty cool shelf today. And, well, I shouldn't say today, last week and today. Nice little walnut shelf. Almost ready to go on the wall. Tune in next week. We're going to put a finish on this bad boy. We're going to do the French cleat across the back of it. And get this ready to go, and we'll be going up to Chicago and seeing what the pros do and see how close what I do measures up to the professional shops of Chicago. On a note on this veneer, I've noticed with veneers it's really a segregated community as far as who wants veneers and who wants hardwoods. I live in Northwest Indiana and I do business here and in Chicago. People in Chicago, they don't mind having the veneered woods. They just think that it looks cool. Big old sheets of, sapelli or whatever hanging off their wall, making a good, huge door, entry door, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. But like, here, Northwest Indiana, people don't like veneer. They want hardwood. So if you're in one of those areas that don't like the veneers, give it a shot and then see how many people like what it looks like. You'll be amazed that once they see that a high quality veneer, what it looks like laid on a shelf or a panel, how it changes their opinions. So thanks a lot again for watching. Hopefully next week I'm all done with this cold and my voice isn't cracking up, I'm not clearing my throat and sniffling and sneezing the whole time. If you got any questions or comments, go to huxdiy.com, where there's a form there you can fill out, ask me a question, and maybe get it read on the website one day, or even on here. Get your little 5 minutes of limelight time. Alright, so once again, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a little entertaining. Like I said, I'm fighting this bug. Hopefully this thing's done with and out for the count. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.